on my floor, plans that I drew, every red line pulling me from you. I chased every road till the roads ran out. Now it's cracked dry ground and a quiet doubt. But in the still, I hear you call my name through the static of my shame. You're my true north when the compass bends, when the night pulls hard and the dark creeps in. You cut through the noise with love that won't move. Jesus, you're the center. Every road comes back to you.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to True North Christian Media. My name is Matt,
I'm Vince.
and we're glad that you're with us on this Monday afternoon, or Monday evening, rather. Hope you all had a good start to the week. Yeah, how was your day, Vince?
That's pretty good. Kind of slipped in a little bit, just kind of a lazy start. But then once I was up and doing stuff most of the day.
Nice.
Got up after that and checked the weather and realized it was already 86 degrees at 7:30 in the morning, and decided if I was going to go do anything outside, I needed to do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So took the son to the range to run through a few things before the event this coming Friday, and yeah, went and did that. Went to the store, picked up stuff, things that needed for a couple things that needed in here, a couple things for this weekend, and then ended up going for a run this afternoon because he convinced me we needed to go for a run. And that was swampy
Yeah.
because it was about 110 degrees.
Yeah. It was so hot today, man. I went and did jiu-jitsu today, and then immediately from there I went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of electrical things, outlets, switches, dimmer switches, recessed lighting, a center light, 250 feet of 12.2 and 14.2, and then a ladder and some other
Oh,
things.
you did. Wait, no.
What's
Do I
that?
have 12? I got some wire left over. I'd sell you.
Oh, I have what's already ran in there, so mine came with an electrical package, but I don't like where they put the outlets. So I'm gonna redo everything that they did, essentially. I just don't like it. And then I'm gonna run all new lights on dimmer switches, so half of it will be on one dimmer switch, the other half will be on another dimmer switch, and then I'll have a center light that will just be on off. Anyway, just trying to figure all that out. But I was gonna go out there today and do some of that, and nope. It's hot in there, number one. So we threw a window unit in it, thinking, oh, maybe that'll cool it down. No, it didn't even drop a degree. Like, that thing worked for hours and didn't do anything. But it's also not insulated yet either, so I mean that didn't
Yeah.
help.
That's just an oven.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do this? So I think I'm gonna take a couple of days off, maybe this week, and work through the night to get it done. That way, it's not terrible.
It's not going to be nice,
Yeah.
but it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
It was bad here when I was doing stuff before I got it insulated in the AC unit in it.
Mm.
But after that, it's nice in here.
Yeah.
Last night though, after we got done, I was like, okay, I'm gonna move my main router because I have to go up in my attic,
Mm.
and I want to wait until the day to go up in that attic
Mm.
because I mean it's 110 degrees outside. It'll be 140 in the attic.
Oh yeah.
Like instant flop sweat.
Mm.
And it wasn't cozy last night. It was still over 100 degrees, but it was tolerable.
Yeah.
But went up there, moved things around, and somehow during all of it, I must have damaged the cable because whenever I finally got it plugged back in, I was looking through the statistics on the the Starlink app, and it said cable degraded, and so it's telling me it's not transferring data and power the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent some time today trying to get in touch with going through Starlink's AI
Mm-hmm.
customer service, which was a dead end
Mm-hmm.
because it was telling me go to the website and do these things and
Mm-hmm.
click on these things, which didn't exist.
Ah.
They just weren't there. Like go to the menu and click on accessories and scroll down until you see cables.
Mm-hmm.
You go on there, no menu. No menu, no drop down, nothing.
Yeah.
It's like the things you told me to do don't exist.
Yeah.
And it would tell me to do them again, but in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the things you told me to do not exist. Like, and I was getting frustrated. Like, try it on a different browser. Like, fine, got off my phone, came in here, turned on this computer, went on both of them, nothing, all the same. It's
Yep.
like just chasing my tail. But in the end, they're going to send me a new something. They didn't have a cable for this one,
Mm-hmm.
so they're gonna upgrade the whole thing to a newer. I guess I don't know if it's just a new router or if it's a new router and dish.
Oh, nice.
But they said it. They mentioned in there like this should work better too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that may account for some of. So I got the my router moved and everything's working. It's just a little bit of degraded signal from the satellite to the router,
Mm-hmm.
and it improved the mesh node signal.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have to have the mesh node over in that window, and the router is literally 20 feet away from it.
Yeah.
But if I move the mesh node 15 feet this direction, it's weak signal again.
Mm.
So it has to be really close to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's extended. I mean, it's out here,
Yeah.
you know.
I was looking for the accessories on Starlink's website at some point, and I ran into the same thing that you did. Like, it kept telling me to go somewhere. But if I typed in, like, Starlink cable, I think, into Google, it'll bring you to a page that you can no longer navigate to on Starlink.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Well, I didn't even think about that because it just kept telling me go there and search for this. It's like there's no search function.
Yeah.
The shop site doesn't have a search function. I'm getting mad, and
Also,
my face is getting like tensed up. Like
Home Depot also carries the Starlink data cables as well.
I kind of thought they did,
Mm.
but I knew they had mesh nodes, but I didn't know if they had cables, and I wasn't gonna go
Yeah.
there to find out.
Yeah, they're like $50, I think. I'm trying to see how long they are. Hey, what's up, Prozac? Doing better than I deserve, thanks to his grace. Absolutely on that one. Just trucking through moment by moment. I feel like that's how we all do it, brother. And
Oh
then,
yeah, this is just a background. I finally made it into my shed, Zach.
wait, what
So
happened? Why?
what?
Well, I'm not sure what happened to.
The devotional?
Yeah,
It's just gone.
there it is. Huh. That's strange. I don't know what I did. Been
Anyway.
a little funky tonight.
But yeah, I finally made it into my shed. I got everything set up out here, and I'll alter things as we go. But I've already put my my desk up on blocks so I can raise my chair up,
Mm.
and I'm at a more comfortable height, and it uses the background better.
Yeah.
And everything.
Nice. A 75-foot Starlink cable. So if you wanted to direct wire your main router into your mesh node, I don't know how far of a reach it is, but 75 feet's about $38.
I mean, that's not bad. I thought about doing that. Actually, I thought about running an Ethernet cable through the same underground tubing as all my power cables into here, and working it that way, and just connecting directly to my main router through there. But then quickly realized the conduit I got was not wide enough for
Mm,
that. So I abandoned that and went with the mesh node. But hey, it's fine. I'm
yeah.
getting a free upgrade, and they put a $65 service credit on my account for it. So
Nice. Nice.
because just because the cable degraded,
Mm,
and then I had to fight with Grok. So
yeah. Here's also
Grok fight.
another thing just for future reference, but it says a Starlink Gen 3 cable, 252 feet, waterproof Starlink cable for rectangular satellites, $80 at Walmart.
That's expensive, man.
It is expensive, but when you consider the data cables they have to use to get the speeds to not degrade over that length of cable, it makes sense. I mean, it's probably
Yeah.
got more of that in copper almost.
I mean, as long as these chain together fine, I'm just gonna leave it
Yeah.
as it is.
Yeah.
You know, unless this for some reason this gets really funky
Mm.
and it just doesn't work anymore.
Mm.
And we'll see how it works whenever we get weather. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Um, Congratulations on getting into your new shed, Prozac says.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm no longer trapped in my closet.
Yeah. I can't wait for my background to change because all I can see is Haley's clothes and reloading stuff. This will stay the reloading area. I'm not going to move any of this to the shed. And the only reason is because I want somebody to be in the house and hear me if something was to go dreadfully wrong. You know what I mean?
That
What's that?
I said that's fair. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move my reloading stuff out here.
Mhm.
I hadn't planned on it, but then whenever I finally we decided that we were going this far with it
Mhm.
and insulating it, putting AC in here and everything, then it's like, okay, like why not
Yeah.
clear up room in my house that's already like bursting at the seams.
Mhm. Yeah, I've had a primer go off in here before, and it was kind of a terrifying experience. So what had happened was I took um the freedom seeds out of a couple of factory rounds, and I had
Mm-hmm.
mixed, and for whatever reason one of those cases got mixed into a batch that didn't have primers, or that had spent primers in them. So I was going and decapping primers, and I got to the one,
Oh,
yeah, and it went kapoof.
if you can do that with live primers, but you have to be real
Mhm.
gentle with it. If you're not being gentle, like yeah, you
Yeah,
can you can set one
yeah,
real easy.
yeah.
Uh, oh, I didn't tell you. So I mentioned I went to the range earlier
Mhm.
today, and first of all, someone went out there apparently yesterday and blew through like 250 rounds of 5.56 PMC
Mm.
and just left the brass laying there. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, I'm gonna go up to the other side of the range and check and see if there's any fun things laying around. And I looked in the trash can. And I just decided I'm gonna just pick those boxes up to see if, just if there's any brass in them.
Uh,
Turns out there was two full boxes of 308
oh, wow.
loaded factory ammo
Wow.
just in the trash can.
That's a find.
None missing. None missing from them. No apparent like someone threw this out because they were being squirrely. There was no other like of the same boxes
Mhm.
in there. It's just two random boxes in the trash can.
Huh.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
more ammo for me.
That's awesome. That's a good day right there. I'm getting free ammo and free brass. All
My
right.
son was
Oh, go ahead.
my son was happy about it. He's like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's why you look in the trash cans.
Yeah. For sure, man. All right. It's 15 after. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Might have to hop off of here maybe a little bit early tonight, depending on how long this one goes. If it goes long, I'm not gonna hop off. I'll just keep going. But if I can, I'll try to hop off a little bit early tonight. Tonight's is called "Faithful Through It All," and it says, "True partnership is revealed in those who stick by others through both triumph and tragedy. And I'm going to read that phrase one more time. It says, true partnership is revealed in those who stick by others through both triumph and tragedy. So it's almost like that marriage vows. You know what I mean? Through
Hmm.
sickness and in health kind of thing. All right, we're going to be looking at Acts 19:23 through 31, Colossians 4:10, and Philemon 1:24. And I'm ready with Acts whenever you are, sir.
About that time, there arose no little disturbance concerning the way here being capitalized, the way. For a man named Demetrius, a silversmith, who made silver shrines of Artemis, brought no little business to the craftsmen. These he gathered together with the workmen in similar trades and said, men, you know that from this business we have our wealth. And you see and hear that not only in Ephesus, but in almost all of Asia, this Paul has persuaded and turned away a great many people, saying that gods made with hands are not gods. And there is danger not only that this trade of ours may come into disrepute, but also that the temple of the great goddess Artemis may be counted as nothing, and that she may even be deposed from her magnificence, she whom all Asia and the world worship. When they heard this, they were enraged and were crying out, great is Artemis of the Ephesians. So the city was filled with the confusion, and they rushed together into the theater, dragging with them Gaius and Aristarchus, Macedonians who were Paul's companions in travel. But when Paul wished to go in among the crowd, the disciples would not let him. And even some of the Asiarchs, who were friends of his, sent to him and were urging him not to venture into the theater.
Okay. Colossians. I'll just read both of the short ones here. Colossians 4:10 says, um, Aristarchus, Ar-
Aris-
Ar-
Aristarchus. Ari-
Aristarchus, Aristarchus,
Aristarchus, I guess.
Aristarchus, my fellow prisoner, greet you, and Mark, the cousin of Barnabas, concerning whom you have received instruction. If he comes to you, welcome him. Is that the right one?
Colossians 4:10.
Cautions for, yeah, okay. Um, I'm just going to read a little bit further. Concerning whom you have received instruction, if he comes to you, welcome him. And Jesus, who is called Justice. These are the only men of the circumcision among my fellow workers for the kingdom of God, and they have been a comfort to me. Okay. Um, Interesting. Philemon 1:23. Epaphr-
124.
Yeah, it starts in the middle, so I'm starting at 23 going through 25.
Okay.
Um Ep- oh boy.
Epaphras.
Epaphras. Okay. Epaphras, my fellow prisoner in Christ Jesus, sends greetings to you, and so do Mark. I already forgot how to pronounce it.
Aristarchus.
Aristarchus, Demas, and Luke, my fellow workers. The grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit. Okay. Some interesting other verses here. And let me pull up. Give me 1 second here. Tonight's devotional, it says, it's wonderful to celebrate with others, sharing in the happiness of those who we care about. But true partnership reveals itself in times of both rejoicing and challenge. In the book of Acts, Paul is the most prominent apostle, but there were also others who traveled with him, faithful companions who deserve our attention. One example is Aristarchus. He's at a riot in Ephesus where he's dragged into the theater alongside Paul. Later, he boards a ship with Paul, who is a prisoner bound for Rome. They suffer together through a storm and shipwreck. The final times he's mentioned, we see him as Paul's fellow prisoner and co-worker. I've already forgot how to pronounce it again, man. This is my problem. Aristarchus, didn't show up.
That's
What's that?
I said that's fine.
Okay, there we go. Didn't show up for Paul's successful moments. He stayed present through imprisonment, persecution, and physical danger. His faithfulness reminds us that genuine partnership is tested and proven in difficult seasons. Most of us won't face riots or shipwrecks, but we will encounter opportunities to stand with others through their struggles. A friend facing illness, a church going through transition, a ministry that becomes demanding. These moments reveal how deep our commitment runs. Genuine partnership means always staying faithful, whether in celebration or crisis. Oh boy, felt like a word salad today. Vince, I'm generating some questions real quick. If you don't mind sharing your thoughts on this one, and
So,
I'll get going with
so
this.
all of this is just going over, these people mentioning the names multiple times. First in Acts, where they go through actually that these people were being persecuted and dragged into the streets, and Paul was trying to go in and help them, and other of the disciples were telling him not to. And if we read further, I don't know exactly if we'll get a nice conclusion to that, but it kind of doesn't matter for this particular devotional, because the point isn't how it turned out, it's that they were there, and that you see that they're there again. They're there with because the book of Philemon, Paul's in prison again. And actually, if you in Logos, there's actually an introduction to Philemon, because it's the shortest letter of Paul that we have, and it's covering the fact that he's writing this letter to Philemon, who owned a slave named Onesimus, and his slave Onesimus ran away, ended up in prison with Paul, and became converted and became a Christian. And Paul is sending him back with both a letter to, I believe, Ephesus, or no, same time as Colossians. It's written at the same time as Colossians, and Onesimus is carrying both letters at the same time, so it seems to be believed. And he's going to Philemon to ask for forgiveness, because it seems to imply that he stole something when he fled, and asking to be accepted as a brother in Christ. So he's also going back to ask forgiveness, and Paul's saying, anything that he owes, charge it to my account. So it's just showing that these people were there during difficult times. They were there in prison together on several occasions, and that it didn't end. It would only their work or death parted them in the end, because they were there through what appears to be pretty difficult times.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say that one thing that comes to mind is, you spoke on it a little bit yesterday, and I know you don't like beating, or not beating the horse, but rehashing the topic that you shared. But this one comes to mind, like it sticks out. That story does, um, of in that time of challenging the struggle, the crisis in that moment. You know what I mean? Like the people that came to stand by you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I see that in that last paragraph where it says, most of us won't face riots or shipwrecks, but we will encounter opportunities to stand with others through their struggles. Now, you, on the other hand, have gotten to experience both sides of this from a major crisis standpoint. And you've also had the opportunity to stand with others and be there for others in those moments as well. So, you have a unique perspective in that a lot of people may not experience, maybe to the degree, you know what I mean? But, one of the questions it prompts here is, how do difficult seasons reveal the depth of our relationships? And then to follow that question up, I would ask the question of, what qualities define a truly biblical friend?
See, and it's kind of, so you have that depth of relationship,
Mm,
and you can think of that in two ways. And I guess your one question is going to be answered by the other,
mhm,
because you can have somebody you've known your whole life, who's there with you, say on for all your birthdays, your wedding days. They're there for all your greatest successes, but then something bad happens,
Mhm.
and there can be you might find that that person. I'm not saying this happened to me, but you might find that that person is quiet during that season, and they may be ready, to welcome you back once you've gone through all those things, and you can be that kind of friend again. But that would change how you really perceive that friendship. Are they there through thick and thin, or are they
Mm.
there because they enjoy your company? And you find that a biblical friendship is different than that.
Mhm.
It's not the enjoyment of the world. It is it, or in the even, you can call the enjoyment of each other's company even enjoyment of the world, but it is doing what you need to for somebody else.
Mm.
It's caring about that person because they are a person, not
Mhm.
just because you enjoy that person.
Right.
Because there's lots of people that you don't enjoy,
Mhm.
but that you like. There, it's that phrase, like, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy,
Mm.
right? Which means that you would have to be willing to stand with that person if they are going through that same thing.
Yeah.
If you're the closest person and it's someone you don't like and they're going through something terrible, like, you're called upon to stand there with them,
Mhm.
to love your neighbor as yourself, to love your neighbor as, you know, to love your enemy as if they were your friend.
Mhm.
Because we're called to hate the sin and not the sinner. And sinners still suffer.
Yeah. You know, that question about, how do difficult seasons reveal the depth of our relationships? And you've mentioned a good point about, you could have known somebody for a lot of years. But I think, when I think of this question, I think of, what's the first response from the other person? Is that first response, hey, let's take this to God, like together. You know what I mean? Like, let me pray for you. Let me um not give you the answers, but give you the word. I think sometimes that's what we fail to do in a lot of instances is we try to create words to make things better in a moment for somebody instead of relying on the words that never fail. You know what I mean? And I think of the qualities that define a truly biblical friend, and I see it from two different sides. Like for instance, I see it from the side of being friends with people that may not know Jesus right now, but I feel like God's working on them, like working in them in ways that I can't explain and maybe they can't explain. But it's awesome because what I found is being a biblical friend to a non-believer is a special relationship. But being a biblical friend to another believer is a special relationship, and they both have value. I think what one is the goal is to let that non-believer see Jesus through you and to introduce them to him, right? While the other one is, hey, let's take this. Like we know where we need to take this crisis. We know where we need to take this struggle to. It's not going to be to ourselves. It's not going to be, hey, let me give you some advice to get this over. Let's bring it to God, and then if if that person's a counselor, great. I can remember many a times going to Zach for like counseling and just being like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. And the first thing that he always does is let me pray for you. All right, cool. And then he walks me through some practical things you know, that we could apply to our life and, things like that. So it's just, there's a difference between a believer, like two believers being friends, and then a believer and a non believer. But I think both are just, you know, valuable in their own way. Um, but I also know, like, in those crisis moments and those struggle moments that you really see, I think the depth comes out more in those moments because there's a lot of people. Like for me, I'm not a very in-depth person with a lot of people. Like I scratch the surface with most people, and that's usually about as far as it goes. Um, but over time, like it becomes more like, okay, I'll share a little bit more of what I'm struggling with just because I know that I need to. Like, it's not because they deserve to hear it, and it's not that I owe it to them. Like, I don't feel that way at all. It's just I'm very, guarded about who I reveal what I'm struggling with because there's a level of trust that I have to, you know, I have to come to terms with of releasing that. You know what I mean? But I think in those times, like, I think the trust, you stop thinking about it. And I think it becomes more like I'm in crisis mode. Like I just need somebody. And then I'm going to run to my biblical friends before I run to anybody just because of the fact that I know they're going to be able to pour into me in a way that will truly help. Um by hopefully praying for me and filling me with what the word says. So that's just my thoughts on it. Um and a follow-up question to that would be, have you ever struggled to remain committed when someone else's hardships become inconvenient? Like, do we ever find it hard to stay engaged with somebody who's going through a hardship, and try not to feel like it's like we're being inconvenienced at that point, like to where it's just an ongoing issue? You know what I mean?
I don't know if I've been faced with that
Hmm.
yet. Um, and that's something that I'm cognizant of
Hmm.
because I do feel at some point, through the loss of my son, at some point I'm going to be called upon to minister to somebody who's going through the same thing.
Hmm.
And it just seems obvious, right? But it may be something else. It may be just having that thought to that you need to be there for somebody at some point and not shy away from that and
Yeah.
not avoid that person and to lean into that
Mm.
because there are people who would there's two kinds of ways you approach that, like I don't have time, or I this is just I don't want to, versus this is re-traumatizing for me,
Hmm.
right? Because you have those both of those, especially when you deal with the loss of a child. You can deal with things that are re-traumatizing,
Hmm.
and it's difficult to talk to other parents who have lost a child sometimes. But it can also it's good to lean into that hurt sometimes
Hmm.
because we don't want to forget that grief is just proof that you loved them.
Yeah.
And it's a strange thing. You can grieve, but you can also grieve the loss of grief.
Hmm.
You can grieve the fact that you don't feel that grief as viscerally as you used to.
Hmm.
You want to, but you can't manufacture feelings, right?
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot there to unpack sometimes, but
Mm.
just thinking about how I would about the people who were there who have been there when they had no idea what to say.
Yeah.
They had no idea how to help. And just remembering all those people. And then of course, we had we had a couple of people who had been where we had been
Hmm.
and could tell us things that in the moment that, like, hey, you're going to want to do this because things will be different after this. You're going to want to do this right now
Mm.
because you're not going to get another chance,
Mm.
kind of thing. So we just have to be open to being there for people.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes, especially with guys, it's understanding when we all do that thing where, like, I don't need help with this.
Mhm.
I got this.
Yeah.
I can do this on my own. I got it. I can figure it out. I'll just go deal with it.
Mhm.
And some guys might need that wall broken down.
Yeah. Yeah. I can vouch for that statement because there are some times where it's not that I'm doing it on my own, but I do retreat away when I start feeling, a little bit overwhelmed if I'm struggling with something and I'm I go to God with it. Like that's what I'm doing. But in the midst of that, I do kind of seclude, or not seclude, but like I'm very just closed. You know what I mean? And it's such an odd thing just in that. But I also see that, like, I recognize that people notice that sometimes and they ask. And like
Yeah, there's a phrase you use sometimes, and you're usually referring to Kyle,
mhm,
and that's that he is being a Mr. Poopy Pants.
yeah, yeah.
But you have that face too.
Hmm.
Some when you're in that mood,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like Matt's doing the thing.
Yeah.
He's doing the thing he accuses Kyle of
Oh,
doing.
I know, man. And it's rough because like if I was to come out and say things like I know that and this is what I was talking to you about not long ago, I think, is, the wisdom of shutting up. And like sometimes that's what I have to do, is to do that because I don't know how to handle it yet. Or like to say it out loud, the thing that's bothering me. Because it's hard for me to go there and to not let emotion take over. And that's the part that I struggle with. So for me, it's like, okay, shutting up sometimes is the best thing that I can do. And my face doesn't shut up. My mouth shuts up, but my face doesn't. So, I run into some issues with that too. Um, I mean,
Yeah,
that,
we run into that too with our significant others
hmm.
too,
Oh,
we
yeah.
know what our faces are saying, it's like,
Yeah.
but I didn't say the thing, I told myself I wasn't going to, and I was gonna say something else, but it's
Hmm.
like, "No, your face said what you thought about that."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm actively changing my own mind. Let
Yeah.
me do that."
Yeah. There's on that question about, have you ever struggled to remain committed when someone else's hardships become inconvenient? Imagine, and I've caught myself in this before, to where it's really hard to be there for somebody else in the midst of yourself going through a hardship. You know what I mean? And sometimes, like, I don't know if it would be damaging to be like, hey, listen, I have my own things going on. Is there somebody else that could help you through it? Like, I would hate to ever say that to somebody because they feel comfortable enough to bring it to me and to say something. But at the same time, it's like, man, I don't know if I'm even fit right now to help somebody else. And I mean, I think that's a valid feeling that we can have, and I think we should feel that way too. Like, we should be cognizant of that, of saying, listen, I am going through it and I don't know if I'm the best person for this right now. And I think that does more justice to that person than pretending that you can help, or giving, ill advice in the midst of your own hardship. What are your thoughts?
Potentially. My thoughts on that kinda go both ways,
Mhm.
is that you may be able to talk to somebody who's going through something,
Mhm.
and one, truly, yes, there are things you can go through, like, I am not of a sound mind right now.
Mhm.
You can be in a place where you are not of sound mind because you're going through something, and at that point, absolutely, yes, you need to,
Yeah.
someone else is coming to you like, "Hey, man, I'm having this problem, like, I can't think straight."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one. But if you're over there and you're being a Mr. Poopy Pants and someone's like, "Hey, man, I need some help I'm having this issue,"
Mm.
then, just because you're grumpy,
Mm.
or you're kinda stuck in a mood, or you're having an issue that has you stuck in a mood, right?
Yeah.
That's not a and that may not necessarily be a reason that you don't help somebody else,
Yeah.
because in helping them, you may help yourself, and if you find yourself there,
Mhm.
then maybe that's when that can lead you to realize, like, okay, to help them, I need to be getting help.
Yeah. Oh, I
Because
agree.
if you're getting help, then you can help somebody else.
Yeah.
And if they've gotten help from you and someone comes to them, they can help somebody else.
Mhm.
The problem we run into is if we're all our own little islands trying to fix our own problems by ourselves with our own little narrow perspectives,
Yeah.
and we're not talking to anybody about it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
That we're not
that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, even if you have 2 people dealing with grief,
Mhm.
even if they're dealing with grief, they can help each other,
Right.
right?
Right.
As long as one, maybe even if just going through something
Mhm.
and you're still going through it, but you're the person, like you're the person who knows what they're going through,
Mhm.
right? In a way that no one else can.
Yeah.
If you've lost a child and somebody around you loses a child, go talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Even if it's just to sit with them and listen,
mhm.
or to tell them that, share with them the gospel of what you believe about your child and who has them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because no one the worst thing you can say if you've not lost a child and you're talking to somebody who has, the worst thing you can say is, I know what you're going through.
Mhm.
Because no, you don't. You
Yeah.
may have thought about it and it hurts a lot to even think about, but you don't know until it happens. But you don't find those people if you're on an island, and those are the kind of people you want around you.
Yeah.
Now, it may not be, what our readings today. Some of these people you can see, traveled with Paul for years and years. And there's people that come and go in our lives who were there for us at one point, but then they've, you kind of just drift away and you drift into other, as long as you're drifting into other people who are with you in that same way, you're still on the right path. It's not about going around and collecting people constantly, because if they're called in a different direction, that's just what we're called to do. We're called in a different direction. But if we're following Christ's path for us,
Mhm.
you will find those people. You will find new people who are like those people, and you really don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, let me follow up with this then. How can we become the kind of faithful friend that um, Aristarchus was to Paul? How can we become that kind of faithful friend? What are some steps that we can take?
Well, it seems like with Aristarchus, you're probably dealing with somebody who was on the same path as Paul.
Hmm.
Like he had chosen that path, kind of like being in the same career field, but finding a believer who is in the same career field, and that
Hmm.
you're going through that field together.
Yeah.
That's what that particular relationship seems more like than anything else.
And
Um,
and to that point, like, you make a minute ago, you made a good point about, two people that are grieving can help each other. Like it's that same, they're in that same kind of path or that same lane at that point. And I think that kind of applies to this, Um, but I mean, as believers, we're all going down that narrow path. But I think that sometimes, like, somebody matches our pace. You know what I mean? Like, we might
yeah.
be going through it and just be crawling, and there's another person
Well,
crawling.
the other bit of that is, to become that person, you have to be obedient to the thing that's been put in front of you that
Mm,
day.
that's true.
You have to not shy away from the thing that you have felt called to do in that moment, especially when you're dealing with trials and tribulations and somebody else's trials. And can you show up? Can you do something?
Hmm.
If you can't do something, then I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
But don't convince yourself that you can't unless you've really tried to see if you can.
Hmm. I'm trying to get some chat participation. And wait, it says we got 6 people watching, but it's been crickets for a while. So
Yeah, I think my wife is watching, but I think she might be playing Farming Simulator. No, she's crocheting, actually.
did you say
She was
farming sim?
crocheting my daughter.
Have y'all been playing
Yeah,
farming sim?
oh, my my 6-year-old deleted his older brother's profile a couple weeks ago.
Uh,
That was not a good evening. Um, but yeah, he's been trying to catch back up to where he was. And so my wife has also gotten back into playing a little bit.
Mm.
I was out here doing stuff for, like, an hour and a half, and when I came out here, she was plowing a field, and when I went back in, she was harvesting grain, and I was like she's like, "I'm gonna get up and do things soon, I swear." I was like, "Fine, this is basically my Saturday, just chill."
Yeah. Oh, farming sim. That's my
Oh,
favorite game ever made. To answer this question from my perspective, I'd say that, becoming that kind of faithful friend, like you said, being obedient in that moment, in that day, in those moments, right? So I think that's a huge first part of it. And I think that the recognition of, I we had talked about this a while back about when a friend of mine lost their kid back a couple months ago, right? And it was
yeah,
just he was honest enough to say, "Hey, this is who I need you to be," and not, because I'm kind of lost in that situation of like, well, what kind of friend do I need to be to this person? Because I want to be there for him, but I want to be there for him in a way that they want me there, that I can add value, that I can actually be effective as a friend. And
mhm,
I think that sometimes, you know, recognizing that not every situation dictates having words. Sometimes the ministry of presence alone can be more than 1,000 words. And I think just having that capability to recognize where somebody is, and that, also have the gift to not always have to talk. Like, to just be very cognizant about, you know, and maybe approach them and ask, "Hey, how can I be here for you?" Like, just be very straight with them and be like, "Hey, what who can I be for you right now? What way can I serve you the best?" And
well, the
just
key to that
let them be
that you're
honest.
the key to that is that you're asking,
Mhm.
and you're not assuming that they need you to stay away. You're
Right.
not assuming that they need you to come be,
Mhm.
their closest confidant in all of this. You're not making that assumption. You're seeing and listening
Mhm.
because you go up to that friend and he may have told you something completely different. He
Yeah.
may have needed you to be, someone that he could talk to about this.
Mhm.
He told you something different, and that's great. That's
Yeah.
fine. But you were there to be what he needed at the moment,
Right.
not to enforce your will. Like,
Yeah.
I'm Captain Jesus, come to save the day. Here to pull you out of the pit of your misery. Like, no, that's not how this works.
Mhm.
It's you were who you asked him who he needed you to be
Mhm.
at that moment.
Right. And I
But you
think
have to talk to 'em about that. You
yeah.
can't just assume. You
Right.
can't assume that, "Oh, they don't need me right now."
Right.
And you can't assume, like, "I have to be there," and you're inserting yourself into situations you don't
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
So,
But I think just being cognizant and being aware of where people are around you, like in just day-to-day life. Like, you could, like, literally, I think if we all kind of opened our eyes a little bit further, we might see that crying mother in a restaurant, or that person that's just struggling, you know what I mean? And while they may not be friends, but we could be there for that person, right? Like, and that's kind of the the part of outreach that really gets me excited, is to know that we're not going out there to be anything but to meet people where they are.
yeah.
And, like, to me,
Like,
that's
"Hey,
exciting.
do you need me to scare your kids so they quit running away from you in the store?"
Yeah. I mean, but, like, everybody has a need, I think. I mean, I don't know a person that doesn't. That in each moment of each day, that there isn't something that's on their mind that's either bothering them, or maybe they're worried about, or maybe they're anxious about or sad about, like all these things that we go through as humans. I think at any given point during the day, we could just ask and be like, "Hey, how can I pray for you right now?" And they would have something. But just to be aware of it, to be aware of your surroundings, to be aware of the need in people's lives, especially in our brothers and sisters in Christ, to not ignore it. Um, but also, like you said, not to just insert yourself in every position. You know what I mean? Just to have some discernment about, you know, or like if like for instance, if Pastor Zach and Pastor Justin are helping a couple through or helping a person through something, I'm not going to insert myself into that thinking that I can help them even further. You know what I mean? They're in great hands at that point, being counseled, being, you know what I mean? Now, if they
Yeah.
come to me, then that's a different story because now they're confiding in me and we can, but I know a lot of my response is going to be like, hey, I feel ill equipped in this area to help you. I think you're in great hands with Pastor Zach and Pastor Justin. And I'm gonna point them to the people or the elders. You know what I mean? Like, uh, I do have a lot of discernment in that area of just going, hey, I don't know if I could really help you in this, but I know there's a lot of people here that could. And I think that's okay. Like we don't have to always be the answer and we don't always have to have the words, but we can always have the ear. So, um, let's dive in from that point. Um, there's two questions here that we could look at. One would be, what are the shipwrecks that people face today? What are some of the major things that we're seeing in the world today? I think of this as groceries, like the affordability of how expensive things are getting and what strain that's putting on families right now. But the second question is, how can our church better support people during times of suffering? So we have a two-part question there. What are some of the things that people are facing today? And as a church, how can we better support people during those times?
Well, if we're going to talk about like our church,
Hmm.
I'm going to take the second one,
Okay,
uh, because I think our church is actually a very good example of how to support people during difficult times.
I do too.
I've seen discernment, but I've also seen people opening up. I've seen people open their wallets. They've opened their homes. I've seen them just be there
Hmm.
when people need them to be there. And that comes from a real desire to help when you can, but also it's organized. There are people, and off the top of my head, I don't know exactly who they are. My wife knows, but they're the people you talk to when somebody's going through something, and they organize, food. They
Hmm.
organize visitors. They organize all of these things so that, when someone's going through a difficult time, they don't have to worry about a lot of the mundane.
Yeah.
You know, when when we lost Benjamin, we
Hmm.
didn't buy groceries for a month.
Yeah.
Not because people just brought us
Hmm.
stuff, right? I mean, I would call my situation a very extreme one as
Hmm.
far as what you go through. But also, when we've had children, they were in organized meal trains and all of these things just so that we can have a little bit more sanity and comfort during those early days.
Hmm.
And I'm certain that if we are not in a position where we're just struggling to buy necessities,
Hmm.
but I'm certain that if we were, if it came to that, there would be an even greater provision for that.
Hmm.
There'd be a greater provision for that need. There's generosity for, standing us with us in those difficult times and in those joyous times, but also, if we really needed something greater and we had done what we our due diligence to take care of ourselves so that we can be a blessing to others, because that's why, everyone's to work. Everyone in the church is to work and to work as best they can so that they may have something to offer to others, so
Hmm.
that they may not be a burden, so that when there's someone truly in need, you can offer them what you can,
Yeah.
right? And I like the way our church does that. I'm pleased with that.
Hmm.
And it also hurts when I hear of churches that don't do that
Hmm.
very well, because there's a local family who they lost the dad died.
Hmm.
You know, w- Wife lost her husband, kids lost their dad, and the church group that they were dealing with removed her from the group chat and said, "Hey, once you start coming back to church, we'll re-add you to all of these things."
Jeez.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's not a very good way to approach that.
No. I stand in agreement
It's
with you though that our church does a really good job of that, of really taking care of people. Yeah.
But to the first one, I don't know. There are more. I haven't experienced it, so I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what it looks like when someone is really in those those needs where you may have someone in the church who's maybe struggling financially.
Mhm.
They're not quite making things meet together, and they have some needs.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly know what that looks like,
Yeah.
so I can't really comment on how we can or how we would do it better. I would suppose that I would need I'd need to see more of what we do generally.
Mhm.
But I know we don't have like uh, diaper drives or anything like that. We have had, when young couples are having kids, we'll have, what are those things called? Baby showers. The church will has hosted baby showers before for people, but
Mm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Got a couple of comments here. Prozac says, "I know I'm a bit late to the question in the chat, but I believe that truth, if revealed about other people and ourselves, I'm kind of in a pickle and have realized deep down I'm very bitter and prideful." And what I would say to that, Zach, is the more of him that you pursue, the more he draws that stuff out of you. He makes you aware of it, and then he begins to work in you in that area. And it's not. I mean, it's not an uncommon battle, I would say. Bitterness, that's something I can relate to. Prideful, probably at times, right? Like I think we've all probably struggled in pride in some area of our life. Um, but I just realized that from other struggles of life that the more you pursue him, the more you seek him out, the more you draw closer to him, the more he draws these things out of you. Like it's such a weird thing to experience not white knuckling something and pursuing Jesus and then watching that thing that you tried to white knuckle for years just kind of be brought out of you. It's the truth though. Like that is how that works. And it's an amazing experience to see. Um and then Kaylani also says, "I have a wonderful friend who would tell me that people were offering and then bossed me around and told me to say yes whether I thought I needed it or not."
I don't know. I think that may be in connection to
Yeah, I'll let you decipher that one because I'm not real sure.
maybe after we lost Benjamin and people were, trying to help and
Oh, I see.
things like that.
Oh, okay, what people okay, I see. I get what she's
And
saying now.
actually, I'm not certain which friend, so I don't know if this is a positive or a negative, actually.
Gotcha. Well, we'll leave it at that then.
Um, Going back to
Mhm,
what Zach said, realizing that you're bitter and prideful, just having that first thought,
mhm,
a cascade of thoughts will come from that, and that's the beginning of that change happening in you. Is you know realizing it, then not knowing what to do with it, and then going on to find out what you do with that knowledge
mm,
and all the crazy things that happen, especially even to the point of hearing, oh, you're bitter and prideful. That's everybody, lots of people deal with that. And then having this, wound in your own pride because what, you're telling me that my struggles aren't special, that everybody has the same struggles as me. And not everyone, of course, but just the
mm,
idea like you can be wounded in your pride in learning that your pride isn't special,
mm.
and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
you start to realize that those sins, especially though especially pride, can work on us from either direction.
Mm,
And learning that discernment and that learning to give those feelings to Christ and seek guidance in them rather than try and figure it out on our own.
yeah. Okay, like I said, I was just
Okay,
adding another way to help. Sometimes you need a bossy friend. Very positive. I love my bossy friend. There we go.
gotcha.
Let's see what else we got here. Uh, ooh, how does it? Well, this one's an easy one. I'm not gonna do that one. Let's see. Why is simply being present often more powerful than having the right words? I said that that is something that is very important. That sometimes it's better to just listen and not try to have the right words. But why is it? Why is it more powerful? Why is that moment of being silent and just being an ear instead of a mouth more powerful?
I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I don't know it is an answer. Um, I always think of this as just as a guy. Sometimes there's been times, and I can recall a couple of where like my world came crashing down. I remember just crying, and then just a hand over the shoulder. Like, that was all it took, and it was like, that was the most impactful thing that could have happened in that moment. And then I remember times where, again, life was falling apart, and I've had people try to give me advice, and it did nothing for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get those people that have every good intention, but the ones that just come sit with you in just that silence of the moment without altering that moment and altering what is going on in your life by adding something to it, but just by being present in it, I think is just that ministry of presence. You know what I mean? I think it speaks volumes. Um, but I'm like you. I really don't know why that is for us, but um, I'm glad that as humans that we have the discernment to know that sometimes that just being there is great and is good enough.
Well, it may just be that it's more powerful because it think about the opposite of what
Mhm,
you just talked about. You have people who will tell you all sorts of stuff when you're going through something and none of it's helpful. Like,
mhm,
great. But then you have someone who's like, "Man, this sucks and I have no idea how to help."
yeah,
Like yeah, me neither,
yeah,
you know? And I don't know, you can just feel close to somebody
mm,
when they say anything to you,
yeah,
especially when you don't know what to say and you don't know what you wanna hear.
yeah,
Especially when, you're in a position where there's nothing they can say.
mhm,
There's nothing they can say to make it better.
yeah. Zach says it's all having to do with work and trying to hold a standard, and it's seeming like I'm the only one who cares this much. It's been keeping me up at night, but I think I'm even blessed to have a job. To be a faithful friend though is just is just honest help. Is to just honest help. Sometimes just being in the room can help someone, which is what you guys are talking about. Yeah, agreed. I don't really have the words for the first message on that one. I know that it's frustrating to feel that way. Like I know it's frustrating to feel like you're the only one that cares. Um or that's trying to do the right thing, because you're saying, to hold a standard. So if we're holding a standard, we're choosing to do the right thing, and we care about doing the right thing. And I know it's frustrating when you're in an environment that others don't find that same care in that thing. So it's frustrating, but I think that we live by example, like our lives by an example, and you just keep doing what you feel is right, and doing the thing and meeting that standard in your work, wherever that is. Just keep doing it, and let others, it's going to work itself out. Like, God's going to work that out. He always does. And, you know, just give it to him.
If
I
you
think
let
that,
it.
yeah, if you let him. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. Uh, Killenly's giving him some advice as well. Oh, I'll let them hash that out in the chat if they want to. Um, or not hash it out, but, you know, talk about it amongst themselves. To wrap it up, I have, more of a reflection question, and this isn't something that we have to necessarily answer out loud, but the question is who in our life needs, or who in your life needs someone to simply stay with them this week? If we reflect on that, we can probably think of somebody, or maybe somebody's laid on our hearts. And if there's not anybody right now, maybe there is somebody this week. But maybe that prayer is to to open our eyes to the need around us in people, or you know whatever that looks like for you. But the question that we can reflect on is who in our life needs someone to simply stay with them this week. And if God's laid somebody on your heart, then I think, we've seen a pretty good example with uh our oh man, come on, what's his name? Aristarchus, whatever his name is. Uh
Oh, okay.
yeah. He's
Oh,
giving
you're
us
talking
a
about someone weak.
yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're
Uh
talking about.
yeah, no, I think we've gotten a pretty good example from, what it looks like, when he didn't just show up for Paul's successful moments, he stayed present through imprisonment, persecution, and physical danger. So I think we've seen a pretty good blueprint of what it looks like to be a biblical friend as far as that goes. And in that third paragraph, it says his faithfulness reminds us that genuine partnership is tested and proven in difficult seasons. So if you're going through a difficult season, raise your head up and look around you at those that are around you right now, to recognize those people that are around you. I think that's a good acknowledgement if you're going through a struggle. If you're on the outside of that and you see somebody struggling, you know, just try to be there for them in the way that they want you to be, and not just enforce or inject yourself into whatever it is. But just start by saying, "Hey, can I pray for you?" Like, that's a very simple thing that we can all do, and simple prayers. Um, or just ask if they need to talk or if they're okay. Sometimes just asking that question, "Hey, are you okay?" can really prompt a conversation. Like, it's prompted many of conversations. Um, there's a lot of things there. The main takeaway, it says Aristarchus reminds us that genuine Christian partnership isn't measured by visibility or recognition, but by faithfulness. True friends don't just celebrate together, they remain present through suffering, sacrifice, and uncertainty. Just like Aristarchus stood beside Paul through riots, imprisonment, shipwreck, believers are called to bear one another's burdens and reflect the steadfast love of Christ, who never abandons his people. So I think that's a really good takeaway summary. And Vince, do you have anything else that you want to add? I didn't know if you wanted to
No,
read any of the stuff that's going on in chat, or if I think they're still talking to each other. I'm not sure.
nah, they can have their conversation.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
We No, I think we've covered a lot here, and
Yeah.
I don't suppose I have anything that I really need to add on to this one.
Okay. What do you think about the format? You like the format of this?
Um, we may we're gonna have to cut way down on the number of questions whenever we get
Right.
When Kyle gets back on.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe,
I don't mind it. Sometimes I kind of like just I do like just generating conversation
mhm.
on some of these the way we have in the past,
Yeah.
where we go through and give our thoughts on it,
Mhm.
and then maybe get into questions.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I mean, we've kind of been doing that,
Yeah.
but it's just gonna be way fewer questions
Yeah.
once we get Kyle back because
Yeah.
it's gonna be I maybe did did you give your thoughts on this before we got into questions?
What's that? Mm-mm.
You
No.
didn't?
Uh-uh.
Okay. I think I missed that, like that part of it where
Okay.
we both give we all kind of give our thoughts on it,
Mhm.
and then we start into questions.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Just real quick on my whole take on this is, I'm still learning a lot about what it means to be a biblical friend. I'm not perfect at it. I still realize that there's a lot that God's working out in me, as far as being there for people, having empathy and sympathy for people. That's something I pray for a lot. Um, to try to put myself in their shoes, but I also realize that there is a desire there for it that is brewing. Like, I can feel that desire to want to be there for people, and I know that's growing. So, I don't sit there and force it. I try to be, like you said, obedient in the moments where I feel led to be there for somebody, or to say yes when somebody needs something, to fill a need, those kinds of things. But I've had people be there for me in tragedy and triumph. So I just try to remember how those people were there for me then, and I try to carry that forward to somebody else. And I just think of the examples of my life, or in my life, that people have done that, and just try to do the same thing. So I recognize the people that have in my life, and I not try to emulate it to the way they did it, but just see the posture of their heart when they were there. And that's the part that I try to really capture is, you know, am I showing the love of Christ to somebody else in that moment? Am I doing what Christ has called us to do in that moment? So, if you're not there, if you're like me, and that's still something that is not the easiest thing, is to is this just pray for it, man. Like, that's all you can really do is just say, "Hey, God, this is my shortcoming." Like, and He knows that. He knows I'm not great at it. But I also ask for Him to do the work in me that I can't do for myself. Like, and I recognize that, and I just give it to Him. And I keep bringing it to Him, and I keep looking at examples within the church, and I see how, like, for instance, I think the biggest heart that I've seen in a long time is Justin's. Like, and they call him Justin Pure Heart or whatever at church, but that guy.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think that's just Rev Kev,
Yeah. Oh,
and
I
Rev
know.
Kev's a bit odd.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But eh, he
we love
is.
you, Rev Kev.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's fine.
But I will say, like, his heart for people is there, and it's something
Yes.
I admire. You know what I mean? I look at that as an example, and I know I'll never be like him, and I know I don't try to be like him, but I do want his heart for people, and I know that God
Well,
can do that work. So
that's one of the early things is to be able to appreciate good in somebody else without having to compare it to yourself, without
mm,
having to have it for yourself, right? It's that comparison. That's the thief of joy.
right,
And it's no good trying to manufacture a feeling.
agreed.
It's no good. So if I was listening to a conversation the other day, and someone was talking about, like, I was, what people thought of me, not me, but
Mhm.
he was talking, and he's like, I'm people think I'm kind of quiet and that I'm kind of closed off. He's like, I didn't want to be perceived that way.
Mm.
So I had to start taking steps to not be perceived that way,
Mm.
which just meant doing things to come out of that shell.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't start, loving people by trying to manufacture some feeling
Right.
of love for others,
Yep.
especially if people annoy you.
Mm.
You can't try and manufacture a feeling of love if you're competing with another feeling in there. But what would you do next if you did love your neighbor?
Mm.
Well, go and do it.
Yeah.
And the more you do for people, the more you'll find that you love people,
Mm.
and the more you find that they love you. And eventually, those feelings will start to match your actions,
Yeah.
not your actions start to match your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I did notice when God when I had my encounter with God in here is that from that moment, like Zach tells that story so well when I came in and I was just as stiff as a board. Like coming back to church, man, I did not I did not want to be. I wanted to be there. Like there was a huge part of me inside that was like, this is where you belong. And then I would look around, I'm like, this is not where I belong. Like there's too many people, they're all smiling, like they're all happy. This is not me. But the more the more I gave all that over to him, it's like, man, this is I love being there. I love being around these people. Like there's so much joy in it. And we've talked before about how joy is from the Lord and happiness is a fleeting emotion, but like that joy is there and that's only from him. Like that can't be produced from anything else. But uh anyway, yeah, let's wrap this one up and we will be back again tomorrow at 7:30. I doubt Kyle will be on. Um
Maybe next week.
I don't know. I don't think we'll see him until probably maybe the end of August.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things where he starts working 12 to 16 hours a day. And by the time he gets home, he's like, he gets food and he gets rest and then he does it all over again. So,
Well, I've been in that place where during certain times of the year where I would be working 12 to 14
mhm,
hours, and you don't get any time, you don't see your family
yeah,
ever,
yeah,
you don't get dinners, you don't do extracurriculars with the kids, nothing. At that amount of time,
yeah,
you got time for nothing else.
yep, yep. So, all right, with that said, I'll close this out real quick and then we'll reconvene you tomorrow. Oh, we already missed Kyle as a comment. Uh, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for guiding us in your ways today. Thank you for the work that you've done in our life and the work that you continue to do in us. Father, I pray that this week that you would do a work in our heart, pull the things out of us that are not of you, and that you would replace it of with everything that is you, with you. Father, I pray that you would just give us a heart for people this week. Not just this week, but from this point forward, that we would learn to be there for people, a in challenging, trying times, in chaos. Um, but we'd also be there for people in their triumphant moments to celebrate with them. Um, But Father, I pray that you would give us awareness as we go about the week of how we can be there for people around us. And and Father, I pray in those moments that you would give us a path, that you would know that other person's heart, and that you would reveal to us how we can be there for them and how we can serve them in those moments, and how we can be a biblical friend to that person. I pray that you would just give us discernment, and you would give us wisdom in the moments that you give us. And I pray for anybody that's going through those moments right now that doesn't have anybody. I pray that you would bring people into their lives that can pour into them, that can guide them. But Father, I pray that whoever you send, that that together they would reach out to you, that they would bring it to you, and that you would fill them both with peace, and wisdom, and strength, Father. I pray that as we continue through this week, that you would just watch over our families and protect us. Pray for Vincent's family and my family, that you would protect our kids, protect their minds, from the evil ways of this world. I pray that you would bless our marriages, Father, that we would grow closer to you, and the result of that would be that we would grow closer together as a married couple, as husband and wife. I pray that you would just continue to work in our lives in those areas, that you would pull the things out of us that are not of you, and that you would guide us in all your ways. Father, we're grateful that you sent your son Jesus to die on the cross for our sins, to make a way back to you, that we can approach you, that we can come to your feet and lay down our worries and troubles, and we can ask things in your name. And Father, I just want to say thank you. I love you, and ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Maybe he'll come back and we'll have forgotten about the correct fiasco. Negative. We will not forget.
Never forget.
Yeah. Amen. Also, thank you, gents, for listening to my venting for a sec. Probably wrong place, wrong time. It's never the wrong place, wrong time, Zach. If you're gonna do it, this is probably the best place you can do it, brother. But I needed this devotional. Hey, perfect, man. Like, I'm glad that you were able to get something out of it, and don't ever feel like that your problems being shared here is a burden to anybody. Um, we're happy
Not
to.
only are we here for you, but you'll probably get in the least trouble by sharing it with us.
Yeah, we don't know your coworkers, so there is that. How do you say anim? Uh,
Anonymity.
yes. How do you say it?
Anonymity?
Anamin.
No, don't ask me. I'm just spitting the word out.
I
I'm
know,
not. Hold on.
man.
Anonymity.
Anonymity. Okay. And
Anonymity.
anonymity. Okay.
Anonymity.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Just say it.
Yeah. You can share here, and we're anonymous.
Animosity.
Yeah.
Anonymosity.
I don't like those
Like
words.
that.
It's so hard. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Zach, we appreciate you being here. Kalani, we appreciate you being here as always. For the couple people that did join in and didn't say much tonight, or didn't say anything at all, we appreciate you being here as well. And hopefully you'll join us tomorrow at 7:30. And until then, we will see y'all later. Adios.
Bye.